You open your eyes, and the first thing you feel isn't hope or peace, or even clarity. It's heaviness. Not just in your body, but in your chest, in your mind. As if life itself has become weight. The light peeks through your window. Another day has started, but instead of feeling ready, you feel behind. Before your feet even hit the floor, the exhaustion has already wrapped itself around you like a fog. You don't want to get up, not because you're lazy, but because there's a part of you that already knows this day won't feel any different. It will look just like yesterday, and the day before that, and the day before that. So you reach for your phone, not even thinking about it. It's reflex now. One swipe, and the glow of notifications starts flooding your brain before your eyes are even fully open. Messages, reels, red dots, updates. And just like that, you've started your day not with peace, but with noise. With chaos disguised as connection. With distraction disguised as comfort. And while your body lays still, your mind has already been hijacked. But here's the thing no one wants to say out loud. This isn't normal. That feeling you've been carrying like a second skin. That tiredness that doesn't go away with rest. That hollow fog where motivation used to be. It's not just stress. It's not just the job. It's not just getting older. It's a warning sign. A signal from within, begging you to stop ignoring what your soul already knows. You're not tired because of what you're doing. You're tired because of how you're living. And deep down you know that. You've probably told yourself a dozen little lies. That this is just how adulthood feels. That everyone else is just as burnt out. That you'll fix it someday. But what if none of that is true? What if the reason you feel so drained, so uninspired, so numb, is because you're stuck in a life you didn't consciously choose? A loop of habits that are slowly eroding the best parts of you. Because here's what no one tells you. You're not tired from doing too much. You're tired from doing too little of what actually matters. You're tired from overstimulation and underconnection. From empty input with no real output. From consuming more than you create. From filling your hours with noise, but your soul with silence. And it starts so small. Just a few extra scrolls. A few minutes turned into hours. You trade sleep for distraction. Trade attention for content. You fill your brain with so much junk that there's no space left for clarity, for stillness, for vision. And then one day you realize, you've been awake, but you haven't truly been alive for a long time. This isn't about blame. This isn't about shame. This is about awareness. It's about recognizing that the way you're living isn't sustainable. Not for your energy, not for your creativity, not for your future. Because if every morning begins with exhaustion, and every night ends with mindless escape, then when do you actually live? Maybe no one ever told you this before, but it's okay to question your life, to stop and look around and admit that something feels off, that maybe this cycle, this loop of tired days and restless nights, isn't the life you're meant to settle for, that maybe, just maybe, your tiredness is trying to tell you something far more important than get more sleep. It's telling you to wake up, and no, not the kind of wake-up that caffeine or motivation videos can give you. I'm talking about the real awakening, the kind where you look at your life with unfiltered honesty, and ask yourself, what am I doing with my one chance at being here? Because this moment right now, this breath, this heartbeat, it's part of your story, and if you don't take the pen back soon, someone else will keep writing it for you. The algorithms, the distractions, the routines that keep you numb but not alive. You were not born to exist in a half-lit version of yourself. You were not meant to drift from day to day, dragging your soul through routines that never feed you. You were made to feel, to grow, to rise, to build something meaningful from the time you have. But the first step is seeing clearly, understanding that the reason you're always tired isn't just about your body, it's about your mind, your choices, your patterns. And now that you see it, you can't unsee it. You're not alone in this. Millions feel it. But most will scroll past this message and dive right back into distraction. They'll nod, agree, and forget. But you don't have to be most people. You can be the one who stops, who questions, who listens. Because in that moment of honesty, of deep uncomfortable clarity, a new path opens. The question is, will you take it? You know what's even more dangerous than being tired? Getting used to it, letting it become your normal, waking up with low energy, carrying it through your day, then collapsing at night only to repeat it all again. Numb, foggy, disconnected, and calling it life. But what if I told you that this exhaustion has a name, that the reason behind your constant fatigue isn't just stress or poor sleep or some vague burnout? It's dopamine. Yes, dopamine, the chemical in your brain responsible for pleasure, motivation, and reward. It was meant to help you survive, to help you strive. But now, it's being used against you. Think about how your day begins. You're not awake for more than 60 seconds before you've already reached for stimulation. Your phone, notifications, messages, TikToks, Reels. It's no longer a tool. It's a trigger. And with each swipe, your brain gets a hit, a cheap hit, a fake reward, a tiny surge of dopamine, with no real effort behind it. But here's the truth they never taught you. The easier it is to get dopamine, the harder it is to feel alive. Your brain was built for challenge, for movement, for problem solving, for connection. But instead it's drowning in artificial highs. Every time you open social media, just to check, every time you mindlessly scroll, every time you chase that next video, that next buzz of attention or distraction, you're rewiring your mind, not for joy, not for peace, but for short, shallow satisfaction. You might feel a flicker of stimulation, a flash of amusement, but it doesn't last. And when it fades, you feel even emptier than before. That's not a glitch, that's the design. These apps, these systems, these platforms, they are designed to hijack your dopamine. Because when you're hooked, they win. And the cost, your energy, your creativity, your ability to feel real pleasure. You become numb to the little things. Music stops moving you. Conversations feel dull. Silence becomes unbearable. Even your hobbies, the things you once loved, start to feel like chores. Because your brain now expects quick reward, constant reward, effortless reward. And when reality doesn't deliver that, you lose interest. You scroll instead. You binge. You escape. This is the trap, the cycle, and you've been living inside it. But here's the darkest part. You've started to believe this is just who you are now, that the problem is you, that maybe you're just not as motivated as you used to be, that maybe life just isn't exciting anymore. But it's not you. It's your brain on hijacked dopamine. It's your mind, trained for distraction, no longer trained for effort. And every day you stay in this loop, the more your natural joy, your drive, your purpose gets buried under a mountain of artificial gratification. Have you noticed how hard it is to just sit still now? To just be present without checking something? Have you tried to go for a walk without your phone, and found yourself reaching for it, even without a reason? That's not just habit. That's addiction. That's your nervous system crying out for another dopamine hit. And the more you give in, the worse it gets. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly felt something? Not just liked a post, not just watched something funny, but felt deep joy, or pride, or awe. Most people can't remember, and that should terrify you. Because if you lose your ability to feel, what are you really living for? This isn't about demonizing technology. It's not about fear. It's about awareness. Dopamine isn't your enemy, but when it's cheap and constant and unearned, it becomes poison. And the poison is spreading through your habits, your mood, your energy, your identity. You've been trained to seek rewards without effort, and slowly, it's breaking your spirit. The world we live in doesn't want you to be still. It doesn't want you to be focused. It wants you reactive, addicted, predictable. Because a distracted mind is easy to manipulate, and a numb heart is easy to control. But you're not powerless. You're not broken. You're just asleep. And if you can wake up, if you can become aware of how your brain has been rewired, you can change it. You can take your power back. But it starts with this truth. You are not supposed to feel this empty. You are not supposed to feel this tired. There is another version of you buried underneath the scrolling, the swiping, the noise. A version that feels deeply, that wakes up with fire, that doesn't depend on a screen to feel something. That version is real, but it takes work to reach them again. And that work starts with one decision: to stop feeding your addiction to fake pleasure. Because every time you resist the easy dopamine, even just once, you weaken its grip. Every time you choose silence over stimulation, focus over noise, movement over mindless consumption, you strengthen your real self. You rebuild your mind. This is the path. It's not fast, it's not easy, but it's the only one that leads back to life. So next time you feel that boredom creeping in, that impulse to reach for your phone, pause, breathe, notice the discomfort. That's the feeling of your mind waking up. That's your chance to take back control. The battle is not against the phone, it's against forgetting who you are. And now that you've remembered, the real work begins. You might think this problem is personal, that you're just the unlucky one, the one who somehow lost their spark while the world kept spinning. But what if I told you that you're not alone? Not even close. That the real enemy isn't inside you, but around you. That society itself has been designed to exhaust you. Not by accident, but by intention. Take a look around. Everyone's tired. Everyone's wired. Everyone's either running to something, or running from themselves. The overstimulation, the overload, the constant connectivity. It's not just a byproduct of modern life. It is modern life, a system built to keep you chasing, consuming, clicking, comparing. And if you ever pause, even for a second, it whispers, "You're falling behind." That's not a coincidence. That's control. Because a distracted mind is a profitable mind. A tired mind doesn't resist. A numb heart doesn't question. So the world feeds you dopamine traps like breadcrumbs. Social media, trending content, viral outrage, influencer lifestyles, streaming platforms, sale alerts, the next best thing, the next escape, the next lie that promises to make you feel alive, but never does. And it works, because you're still tired, still searching, still scrolling, still stuck. But let's get brutally honest. The exhaustion you feel isn't just because of screens or apps or too much content. It's because you've been tricked into believing that your worth comes from engagement, attention, speed, performance. You've been told to always be on, always reachable, always available, always online. You're not living, you're performing, and it's killing you quietly. This is the part that hurts the most. We used to create, we used to build, we used to feel joy in effort, purpose in patience. But now, we consume, we imitate, we chase numbers and approval and curated images that mean nothing when the screen goes black. And somewhere in that endless loop of likes, noise and validation, we lost something irreplaceable: ourselves. We've normalized the abnormal. It's normal now to live in a room full of people and still feel alone. Normal to eat meals while scrolling. Normal to never finish a thought without a distraction interrupting it. Normal to measure our value in views, hearts, comments. But this isn't normal. This is a crisis, a spiritual one, a psychological one, a war not fought with weapons, but with attention. And the most dangerous part, this system doesn't break you with a single blow. It wears you down slowly, drip by drip, scroll by scroll, and you won't even realize what it has stolen from you until it's already gone. Your time, your clarity, your ambition, your connection, your rest. Let me ask you something that no one else dares to ask. When was the last time you were truly bored? Not frustrated, not anxious, just quietly bored, with no urge to fill the silence. Can you remember? Because boredom used to be the birthplace of imagination, of curiosity, of creativity. But now, the moment we feel even an ounce of stillness, we panic, we reach, we scroll, we numb. And it's not your fault. You've been conditioned this way. Every app, every platform, every algorithm is fine-tuned to exploit your attention span, your habits, your weakness for novelty. They call it engagement, but what they're really stealing is your presence. And this presence, it's everything. It's the ability to be with your own thoughts, to sit with your pain, to work through discomfort instead of fleeing from it. But that muscle, your ability to be present, has atrophied. And that's why you feel so lost, so tired, so unfulfilled. You're not living in the moment. You're drowning in artificial moments. Look around. We are a generation that sleeps with our phones, wakes up to screens, eats with screens, even mourns and celebrates through screens. We are overstimulated and undernourished. In a world filled with endless content, we are starving for connection, for something real, something lasting, something true. But here's the truth no one wants to hear. The only way to feel alive again is to detach from the machine that profits from your emptiness. You have to rebel. You have to do the hardest thing in the world right now. You have to be still. You have to resist the urge to escape every second of discomfort. You have to be bored. You have to get quiet enough to hear your own thoughts again. To face the truth of your life without a filter, without a like button, without a distraction to cushion the blow. And in that stillness, you will discover something extraordinary, something that's been buried under all the noise. You, the you who used to dream, the you who had wild, beautiful ideas, the you who wanted more than this, more than just survival, more than digital trophies, more than empty pleasures that fade before you even finish them. You can still find that version of yourself, but only if you're willing to look where no one else is looking. Not out there, not on a screen, but inside, into the quiet, into the discomfort, into the parts of you that you've been too busy, too distracted, too afraid to explore. You don't need more motivation. You don't need another productivity hack. What you need is to unplug, to disconnect from the noise that's stealing your energy, your attention, your life. You need to return to something raw, something real, something the world can't manufacture. And it starts now, not next week, not when things slow down, not when you're in the mood. Now, because every moment you delay is another moment lost to a world that doesn't care about your purpose, only your participation. But this time, you choose. This time you stop reacting and start remembering who you are, what you love, why you're here. And once you remember, once you reclaim your mind, everything begins to change. You've been told to chase happiness, to seek pleasure, to go where the excitement is. But no one ever told you what that chase would cost. No one warned you that constantly seeking comfort might be the very thing that's destroying you. Because every time you choose the easy way out, every time you avoid the hard thing, the boring thing, the slow thing, you are not just choosing ease. You are training your brain to fear effort. You are teaching your mind that discomfort is the enemy. And over time, that belief becomes a cage so subtle, so comfortable, you forget it's even there. But let's break it wide open. Ask yourself, when was the last time you did something hard and didn't run from it? When was the last time you sat in the quiet without reaching for a distraction? Finished a task that didn't give you immediate pleasure? Stayed with a thought long enough for it to become an idea, instead of tossing it aside for something more fun? We don't talk about this often, but there's a silent epidemic in our generation. A crippling intolerance for boredom, for slowness, for anything that doesn't give us something right now. We skip the slow songs, abandon the books, give up on long conversations, can't sit still, can't wait, can't concentrate. And yet we wonder, why are we tired? Why do we feel empty, unmotivated, numb? Because real life doesn't move at the speed of dopamine. It doesn't reward you for showing up. It rewards you for staying, for enduring, for pushing through the stillness. And most of us, we've lost the muscle for that. We want results without effort, fulfillment without patience, growth without resistance. But here's the cold truth no one wants to admit. The most meaningful things in life don't feel good at first. They are heavy. They are awkward. They take time. And if your brain has been conditioned to avoid anything hard, anything slow, anything uncertain, you'll never make it to the other side. You'll never feel the true satisfaction that comes from doing something that required your full self. That's why you're always tired. Because everything that could give your life meaning requires effort, and your brain has been trained to run from effort. You've become addicted to what's easy, and like any addiction, it steals more than it gives. It robs your joy, your focus, your strength, your potential, and it leaves behind only one thing: regret. There's a reason why scrolling feels easier than thinking, why watching feels safer than creating. Because those things require nothing from you, and things that require nothing give you nothing in return. But I want you to imagine something. Imagine the energy you could reclaim if you weren't burning it all on distractions. Imagine what your life would look like if your days weren't shaped by impulse, but by intention. Imagine how powerful you could become if your mind wasn't wired for escape, but for engagement. That kind of life isn't built on moments of pleasure. It's built on moments of resistance, of choosing not to give in, of staying with discomfort until it transforms into clarity. Because discomfort isn't your enemy. It's your doorway. It's your signal. It's your path. And when you train yourself to walk through it instead of avoiding it, everything changes. You begin to reconnect with effort. You begin to enjoy working on something for hours without needing applause. You begin to read entire chapters without checking your phone. You begin to sit with silence and realize it's not empty. It's full of answers you've been running from. But it takes rewiring. It takes intention. You can't just wait for motivation to show up one morning and fix everything. You have to do the unsexy work, the slow, patient, deliberate work of choosing effort again and again, until it becomes your new default. And when it does, that's when your energy returns. Not just physical energy, but mental energy, emotional energy, spiritual energy. Because the real fuel of life doesn't come from dopamine. It comes from discipline, from facing the thing you've been avoiding and deciding, I'm strong enough to do this. That moment when you stop seeking the easiest way and start choosing the truest way. That's when you reclaim your life. That's when you go from surviving to building, from escaping to engaging, from scrolling to showing up. And let me tell you something you might not hear often. You are capable of more than you think. You are capable of more focus, more effort, more passion, but you have to prove it to yourself, not once, but every single day, in the moments when no one is watching, when your old habits call you back, when the easy path whispers your name. That's where your strength is born. That's where you learn to trust yourself again, not because you always feel good, but because you show up even when you don't. So start small. The next time you want to quit early, don't. The next time you feel the urge to open your phone out of boredom, wait. The next time something feels slow or frustrating, stay with it. That's your training ground. That's your freedom. Because if you can master that, if you can learn to sit in discomfort, to breathe through resistance, to stay when it's hard, you'll rediscover something powerful. Not just your energy, not just your motivation. You'll rediscover yourself. You've probably felt it before, but never had the words for it. That quiet pressure behind your eyes, that ache in your chest when you try to focus, that strange sense of mental fog, like your thoughts are trying to break through a wall but keep bouncing back. It's not just tiredness. It's not just burnout. It's noise. Constant, invisible noise. A storm you live inside every day, without ever realizing it. Noise isn't just sound. It's information. It's input. It's content. And we're drowning in it. Every moment your mind is awake, it's being hit with something. Notifications, texts, headlines, opinions, debates, memes, ads, trends, more scrolling, more noise. And it never stops. Not even when you're alone. Not even when you sleep. You carry it in your pocket. You wake up to it. You fall asleep with it buzzing in your mind. And here's the brutal truth. This noise is stealing your energy faster than anything else. You think you're tired because of work, or because you didn't sleep enough, or because you're getting older. But that's only part of it. The real exhaustion, the deep soul-level fatigue, is coming from mental saturation. You were never designed to process this much input. Your brain is ancient. It evolved for stillness, for presence, for observing small, natural shifts in your environment. But now, in a single hour, you consume more random content than your ancestors did in a lifetime. And most of it is completely meaningless. It doesn't feed you. It doesn't grow you. It doesn't move you forward. It just fills you. And a mind that is always full of noise has no room for clarity, no room for peace, no room for you. When was the last time you just thought, just sat with a question, until an answer came from within, not from Google, not from a comment thread, not from a YouTuber, but from you? When was the last time you felt a creative idea rise up out of silence, instead of forcing one out between distractions? When was the last time your mind felt like a lake, still, reflective, clear? We don't get those moments anymore, because we don't give them space to exist. Every free second is filled. We fill our commutes, our meals, our breaks, our walks. Even our silence comes with background noise, music, podcasts, videos, always input, never space. And then we wonder, why don't we feel inspired anymore? Why can't we focus? Why does our mind feel heavy and chaotic? Because inspiration requires silence, focus requires emptiness, and you're too full. Let me say that again, you're too full. Not full of purpose, not full of joy, just full of stuff, mental clutter, unnecessary data, other people's thoughts, other people's emotions, conflicting advice, endlessly scrolling, endlessly consuming, endlessly tired. And yet you keep going, because the world has trained you to fear stillness, to fear being alone with your mind, because in silence, the truth starts to surface, and we've forgotten how to sit with truth. We've forgotten how to sit with ourselves, and that is where you lose your power, because if you're always reacting to what's around you, you'll never hear what's within you. So let me ask you this: who's shaping your thoughts right now? Who's directing your attention? Who's programming your focus? Is it you, or is it the algorithm, the influencers, the marketers, the trending sounds, the fear of missing out? You think you're in control, but if you can't spend 5 minutes with your own thoughts without needing a screen, then who's really driving your life? Your attention is your most valuable currency. Whoever controls it, controls your future. And if you're not intentional about protecting it, someone else will gladly spend it for you. You need to detox, not just from apps, not just from social media, but from noise itself. You need to reclaim the quiet, because that's where everything begins. In silence, your mind recalibrates, your nervous system relaxes, your creativity returns, your focus sharpens, your energy rebuilds, and something even deeper happens. You reconnect, not just with the world, but with yourself, with the thoughts you've buried, the dreams you silenced, the voice you forgot you had. It doesn't take a year, it doesn't even take a month. It starts with 10 minutes. 10 minutes a day, where you put the noise down and just listen, not to another voice, but to your own. It starts with choosing 1 hour without screens, 1 walk without headphones, 1 morning where the first thing you see is the sky, not a screen, 1 meal without a video, 1 night where you journal instead of scroll. Little by little, your mind clears, your spirit lifts, your energy returns, not because you added anything, but because you took something away, the noise. And when the noise goes quiet, something beautiful rises in its place. You, the real you, not the one trying to keep up with everyone, not the one mimicking trends, not the one performing for likes. The you that creates, the you that thinks deeply, the you that has vision, and purpose, and clarity, the you that remembers what matters. That's the you waiting in the quiet. And the only way to find them is to go there. So tonight, don't escape the silence. Enter it, welcome it, let it stretch and breathe and heal you. Because when the noise dies down, your life finally begins to speak. The silence is scary at first. That moment when you put the phone down, turn the sound off, and suddenly, it's just you. No distractions, no filters, no escape routes. It feels unfamiliar, even wrong, like something's missing. But stay there, just a little longer, because what you're feeling isn't emptiness, it's space, the kind of space you forgot you needed, the kind of space your mind craves. And in that space, after the noise dies and the fidgeting stops, something begins to shift. Clarity. That's where the change starts.
It won't come with fireworks or grand declarations. It won't come in some dramatic movie moment. It comes in stillness. It comes when you finally decide, enough, enough scrolling, enough escaping, enough giving away your life in tiny pieces to a system that profits from your numbness. This is the part where you take it back. No, not in a week, not when it feels easy, not when you're perfectly ready. Now, because you don't need a perfect plan, you just need a choice. One small act of resistance, one real moment. That's all it takes to break the loop, and it starts simple. Turn off the notifications, all of them, right now. You won't miss anything important. What you'll gain is far more valuable. Your attention. Wake up without your phone. Buy an alarm clock if you have to. Let the first few moments of your day belong to you, not an algorithm. Take walks with nothing but your thoughts. No music, no podcasts, no distractions, just silence. It'll feel uncomfortable at first, then magical. Set screen-free hours, even just one. Let your brain breathe. Let your senses come alive again. Eat without watching anything. Taste the food. Feel the texture. Be present. You'll be shocked how much joy you've been missing. Read a book instead of watching a video. Let your mind focus again. Stretch that attention span. Train it like a muscle. Do one hard thing every day. Something that requires effort, patience, discomfort. Push-ups, journaling, writing, studying. It doesn't matter what. What matters is that it's not easy. Because easy is what got you here. Every time you make one of these choices, you are doing something extraordinary. You are retraining your brain, not for instant gratification, but for strength. Not for stimulation, but for focus. Not for noise, but for depth. And slowly, the exhaustion starts to fade. You wake up with more energy. Not because you slept more, but because you stopped leaking energy into things that didn't matter. You feel a sense of calm, not because your life got easier, but because your mind got quieter. You notice things again. The way sunlight feels, the texture of paper, the silence between two heartbeats. Life begins to feel alive again. You stop needing pleasure to feel okay. You stop reaching for your phone every time you're alone. You stop feeling like you're falling behind just because you're not consuming something. You become present, and presence is power. Presence is where joy lives, where gratitude grows, where focus sharpens, where purpose reveals itself. And the only way to reach that place is to stop running from the hard things, because the real secret isn't hidden in some hack or technique. It's this: discomfort is the path. The things you avoid, that's where the treasure is. The boredom you fear, that's where the clarity is. The silence you escape, that's where the healing is. It won't be easy. Your brain will fight it. The pull to scroll, to check, to consume. It's strong, but you're stronger. And every time you resist, even for a second, you grow. And here's the most incredible part. The more you choose discomfort, the less it scares you. The more you sit in stillness, the more it comforts you. The more you resist cheap dopamine, the more beautiful real pleasure becomes.
The world slows down. Your thoughts become clearer. Your purpose becomes louder. You become more you. Because when you stop filling every quiet moment with noise, you give your soul room to speak. And when your soul speaks, listen. It will remind you who you are, not who the world wants you to be, not who you've been pretending to be, but the version of you that existed before the addiction, before the distractions, before the burnout. That version is still in there, waiting, watching, hoping you'll come back. And now you can. You don't have to do everything at once. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to start. One habit, 1 hour, one decision, and then another, and another. This is how you take your life back. This is how you break the cycle. This is how you stop being tired. Not just in your body, but in your soul. You unplug, you resist, you breathe, you choose. And when you do, you'll realize something shocking. You were never really broken. You were just distracted. You were never truly lazy. You were just overloaded. You were never too far gone. You were just too surrounded by noise to hear the call back to yourself. But now, you hear it. And once you've heard it, you can't go back. Something strange happens when you stop chasing stimulation. When you sit in the silence long enough to hear your thoughts again. When you stop numbing every moment of discomfort and finally face it instead, you begin to remember. At first it's subtle. You remember a dream you had once. Something innocent, something bold, something that once made your heart race. Then a voice, not loud, but yours, clearer than before, speaking softly beneath the clutter. And then little by little, you start to feel things again. Not the sharp hollow spike of a like or a notification, but the slow deep kind of feeling that rises from within and lingers. The kind of feeling that stays with you after the moment has passed. The kind you didn't realize you had been starving for. And that's when you realize you're changing. Not because life changed, not because something external happened, but because you are finally showing up again. You start to walk differently, slower, more aware. You notice the trees again, the wind, the sky. You taste your food without rushing. You listen without needing to speak. You breathe, not to get it over with, but to actually feel what it means to be alive. And this is what no one ever told you. Your energy was never missing. It was buried under endless distractions, under the pressure to perform, under the fear of slowing down, under the fear of being forgotten if you disconnected, even for a second. But you're not a machine. You're not here to be productive all the time. You're not here to entertain or impress. You're not here to compete for attention in a world that trades soul for speed. You're here to be, to create, to feel, to connect, to contribute in a way that only you can. But to do that, you have to return to something real, something ancient, something honest, yourself. Because somewhere along the way you started playing a role, the efficient one, the impressive one, the always available one. You crafted a version of yourself that could survive in this overstimulated world. But survival is not the same as living. You wore that mask so long you forgot what your real face looks like. You buried your fire so deep you convinced yourself you were cold. But you're not. You're alive. And every act of presence brings you back. Every walk without a phone. Every journal entry you write just for you. Every breath you take before reacting. Every time you pause and choose silence instead of noise. Stillness instead of stimulation. Intention instead of escape. You're reclaiming yourself. Not the person you pretend to be when you're online. Not the one who posts the right things or says what's expected. But the real you. The one with dreams that don't fit into captions. The one who's been aching to return. And once you start feeling again, once you reconnect with meaning, you become dangerous to everything that once controlled you. Because now you don't need constant entertainment to feel okay. You don't need digital validation to feel worthy. You don't need to check your phone to know you're alive. You just are. Your energy starts to return. Not in spikes, not in fleeting highs, but like a fire that finally catches after a long patient burn. You wake up with ideas again. You get excited about quiet things. You feel emotions more deeply, but also more clearly. And here's the miracle. The same world that once exhausted you starts to look different. The sky isn't just background anymore. It's art. The people around you aren't just extras. They're connections. Even the hard days feel purposeful. Because now you know what you're fighting for. Not approval, not performance, not a perfect feed. You're fighting for a life that feels real. And real is messy. Real is slow. Real isn't always exciting. But real gives back. Real fills you. Real stays. That's what you've been missing. Not more pleasure, more presence. Not more dopamine, more depth. Not more likes, more life. And now you know the way back. It was never about adding more. It was about removing what was never you. The noise, the pretending, the overthinking, the pressure to keep up, the need to always be seen. You were never meant to be watched. You were meant to wake up. And now that you are, nothing can stop you. Because now you've remembered how to feel, how to focus, how to show up fully, and most importantly, how to be you again. One in you most an experience cities burst in. Not a version of someone else. Not a reflection of a screen. Not a copy of what's trending. But the original blueprint you were born with.
The soul that's been quietly waiting through all the chaos, all the addiction, all the noise. And when that version of you returns, everything changes. You work with joy again. You love with your whole chest. You cry at music, laugh without filters, rest without guilt. You stop existing. You start living, not because your life became easier, but because you became real. And real is what you've been missing all along. So here you are, after all the scrolling, after all the videos, after all the moments you said just 5 more minutes, you've made it to this one. But this isn't just another video. This is a mirror. And now that you've seen your reflection, your real reflection, you can't pretend anymore. You know why you're tired. It was never just about sleep. It was never just about work. It was never just about stress. It was about the life you were living on autopilot, the life you were handed, the patterns you never questioned, the distractions you called entertainment, the comfort you mistook for peace, the performance you called a personality. But now you see it, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. The fatigue, the mental fog, the soul-level exhaustion. It's not just a symptom. It's a signal. Your life isn't broken, but it is misaligned, and you've reached the point where continuing on the same path is no longer an option. Because here's the truth. This isn't about dopamine. It's not just about phones, or content, or distractions. Those were just the tools. This is about you, your choices, your energy, your identity, and the story you tell yourself every single day. You've been living like your life belongs to everyone else, to algorithms, to corporations, to followers, to the idea of who you should be. But now you know your life belongs to you, and the power you've been searching for. It was never out there. It was always in your hands, quiet, dormant, waiting for the moment you'd stop blaming the noise and start silencing it. Waiting for the moment you'd stop asking for permission and start taking responsibility. Waiting for the moment you'd stop escaping and start reclaiming. That moment is now, and it begins with a question. Will you choose to stay the same? Will you close this video and go back to the same routine, the same habits, the same cycle of exhaustion and distraction? Will you choose what's easy, what's familiar, what's expected? Or will you choose something else, something harder, something quieter, something more real? Will you choose to reclaim your mornings, to protect your attention like your life depends on it? Because it does. Will you choose silence over noise, presence over performance, creation over consumption? Will you choose yourself? It won't be glamorous. It won't be easy. No one will give you a medal for it. There won't be instant results. But what you will feel, slowly, deeply, undeniably, is something most people never get to feel again. Life. Not the kind of life where you exist just to get through the day, but the kind of life that feels full, meaningful, honest, yours, where your thoughts are your own, your energy is clean, your time is sacred, your emotions aren't buried under noise, and your actions come from purpose, not pressure. That life exists, but it will cost you your comfort. It will cost you your numbness. It will cost you the part of you that would rather be liked than be free. Are you ready to let that part go? Because this is it, the fork in the road, the place where everything can change, or nothing does. And the difference is you. You don't need to change your entire life overnight. You just need to choose one thing. Put your phone down during breakfast. Turn off autoplay. Go for a walk without music. Wake up 30 minutes earlier. Sit with your thoughts instead of trying to escape them. Do one hard thing and finish it. That's how the new you begins. That's how the tiredness begins to fade. That's how the spark comes back. Not with one giant leap, but with one small deliberate step, repeated every single day. And the more you do it, the more you remember. Remember that you are not broken, that your soul is not tired. It's trapped. Trapped in loops that don't serve you. Trapped in routines that shrink you. Trapped in stories you never chose. But today you choose. And in that choice is everything. You may not feel strong yet. That's okay. You may still feel tired. That's okay. You may still reach for your phone out of habit. That's okay. This isn't about perfection. It's about awakening. It's about taking one moment, this moment, and saying, I want more. I want better. I want me back. And from this moment on, every choice you make becomes a vote for the person you want to become. Every time you resist the scroll, every time you lean into effort, every time you turn down the noise and tune into yourself, you are becoming that person. The one who feels deeply, the one who creates, the one who doesn't just survive, but builds, the one who is alive. So now, write it down in the comments. Not for me, not for validation, but for you. Write it as a promise. Today I choose to wake up. Let those words be your first real action in this new direction. Let it be proof that you didn't just watch another video. You heard this one. And if this message stirred something inside you, if it reminded you of something you lost, or something you want to become, then don't let it fade. Share it, save it, come back to it, because you're not alone. There's a whole movement of people who are done being tired, done being numb, done being distracted from their own purpose. They're waking up, and now, so are you.